Welcome everybody to Business Fundamental Fridays webinar with Kelly Frazier, Garrett Pearson, and Scott Branley. Today we're going to be learning about how to set and achieve important goals in your life. And that is going to be taught by Mr. Scott Branley. And I'm really excited about this one because goals are one of my favorite things to talk about because they're so important. So go ahead, Scott.
Thanks, Garrett. Goals are also important to me, and Garrett's seen how my life has changed because of them. And I'm really excited to share this because it's been so important in my life, especially the last 3 to 4 years. So to start out, we've all made goals at some point in our lives, and especially New Year's resolutions. I think that's when goals really come out of. So I thought this was pretty clever. Option A, lose weight. Option B, buy a bigger basket. I think a lot of times we end up buying a bigger basket because losing weight is hard. Unfortunately, too often, our goals don't turn out like we imagine. And I found this clip online. I thought it was pretty funny. So you can see, lose weight again, get fit next year, give up alcohol and cigarettes, turns to just drink less, stand up to boss, turn to find a job, try to be nicer to my wife, became ex-wife. They just don't turn out like we planned. And unfortunately, not reaching our goals tends to lower our expectations in life. And I thought this was pretty funny. By setting the sales goal after the sales, we're able to consistently maintain an above-average sales quota. So, and most of you remember the ones that were on my original presentation. Actually, it was the first BFF call that we ever did. We talked a little bit about our families, and I showed this picture of my family. And this is a pretty recent picture. But many of you don't know this, but a few years before this, my expectations of life were pretty low. And I'm going to show you a couple pictures. This is going to get personal, but you need to see so that you can understand kind of my journey and why goals are so important and how they've helped me in my life and how they can help you. So I want you to meet the old Scott. This is about 4 years ago. And you can see my picture is considerably different. So here I weighed a lot more. I was actually over 200 pounds. I was about 200. I don't know exactly how much I weighed when I took the pictures in Hawaii, but I'm guessing it was close to 220. Anyway, I wasn't very happy, and I was not only was I unhappy, but I was really overweight. I had absolutely no motivation. Garrett can attest to this. I would always take the elevator up to our office. I would never take the stairs, right, Garrett?
Right.
And in fact, I was like against it. So, and I would be so tired by the time I got home from work that I would veg out. I would eat unhealthy food, and then at the end, I would yell at my kids, and I would go to bed. After watching TV. It wasn't good. And the really bad thing was that I had heartburn all the time, and I had Tums everywhere. I had Tums in my bedroom, upstairs in the kitchen. I had Tums in my desk at the office. I'd go snowmobiling with my uncles once a year, and I would have to keep Tums in my pocket when I would go snowmobiling because I would be afraid I'd get heartburn on the way. And it was really concerning me because I thought something was really, I knew something was really, wrong. And, but I want to take this on a little bit more of a personal, deeper level because inside I knew that, plus on top of all that, I was in a massive amount of debt. And so on a personal level, I was really letting myself down, and I knew that inside. And I knew that I was letting my family down. I had serious personal concerns about my health I didn't really share with anybody else, but inside I was really concerned. And I knew I wasn't living up to my potential. I always knew that there was something bigger that I needed to do in my life. And I felt like I was barely treading water. And so I decided one day that I'd had enough and I was going to change my life. And so I decided, the first thing I did is I decided I was going to go to the gym. And so I took a before picture. So hopefully you guys won't throw up, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. So that's my before picture when I decided to change my life. That was the day, right before I went to the gym. And before this day, I had no goals written down. Um, you know, it was basically everything that I just described to you. And that day changed my life. And I'm gonna. So this is my before picture, and here's my after picture. Oh, I'm just kidding. Okay, so here's my before picture, and here's my after picture. That's in 3 months.
Oh my goodness. Three
I
months?
know. Crazy, eh?
Wow.
Garrett was there. He can vouch for this. This really happened.
Yep.
So um, so basically, in 3 months, I had lost over 30 pounds, and I was driven. I had purpose. And the cool thing is I was completely heartburn free. I from about 2 weeks after I started working out, I stopped having heartburn completely, and I haven't had a Tums for years. So that was pretty cool. Um, and so that was just 3 months later. Now let's fast forward about a year and a half. So a year and a half later, I went from being massively in debt to completely being debt free. I was living an outstanding life. My family life was considerably better. My spirituality was way better. I was active. Garrett and I started running. We started out running 5Ks, but that grew into half marathons, and we actually ran a marathon. We've written a book. I've gone on some amazing trips. We've launched several businesses together, Garrett and I. I even made a weight loss program because I was so inspired by what had happened in my life that I created a program to help other people, and I give it away for free. So, things have just, amazing things have happened in my life, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. But if I told you everything, you probably wouldn't believe me. So, but the other cool thing that I'm really proud of is that I've been able to reach outside of myself, and we've been able to help others. And you guys have heard us talk about this, where we've gone to Kenya and helped build schools, but we've also helped do feeding programs there and have helped thousands of kids to be able to have food. So, and I'm not telling you this to brag or anything, but I want to show you how goals, all these things were goals that I created when I decided to change my life, and they've happened. And goals have been such a huge part of my life, and I'm actually going to share my secret to success with goals. But first, I want to share a concept with you guys, and it's called the butterfly effect. And this is really important if you understand how this works. So basically, Garrett and Kelly, have you guys heard of the butterfly effect? I know you have, Garrett. I was talking
Yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
What is it? Garrett,
Um.
you remember?
Yes.
Kind of putting him on the
Well,
spot.
just like the idea is a butterfly, for example, does something, lands on a leaf, and it changes something in the future, or it change, the small little things can change something big.
Right.
That's not.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the basic concept of the butterfly effect is that tiny changes can make a big difference. And this little chart I made really shows what can happen. So if you make enough tiny changes, it puts you on a different path. Even actually one change can put you on a different path from where you are now. And those tiny changes happen from decisions that we make. And so the secret that I found to making anything possible, making anything happen in life, is to make a better decision right now. And Garrett's heard me say that a million times. But that's really the key, because life is all about the choices that you make in the very moment that you're faced with a decision. And we all make thousands of decisions every day, and most of them are tiny decisions that we don't even think about. But every decision that we make has an effect on our life. And if you think about it, your entire life up to this very moment, to the point to listening to me right now, it's an accumulation of good and bad decisions that you've made over time. That's your life. And the way you become successful in life is by making more good decisions than bad decisions. I mean, that's really what it boils down to in its simplest form. And, so that's really what it all comes down to, is just making those better decisions. And let me go back here for a second. So, for example, a lot of it when it comes to weight loss, it comes down to the decisions you make with the food that you eat. So, instead of drinking a Coke every day for lunch, you could make a better decision in that moment and decide to get water. That's a better decision right now. Or, if you want to go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac, what if you went to Subway? That's a better decision right now. Or when you're checking out at the grocery store and you can skip the chocolate bar section. I know it's hard, but it is possible. So that's as far as, weight loss goes. But even in business, should you go and check your email or go on Facebook? Or should you, make a phone call to somebody that can help you in your business? It's things like that that make tiny differences that end up being a big result in the end. And so what I've found is there's actually 3 things that you have to do to reach any goal. And the first one is you have to have a big enough reason why you absolutely have to reach that goal. And, we've talked about, finding your why and having, a big enough why before in different Fundamental Friday calls that we've had. But when it comes to goals, having a reason why you absolutely have to reach your goal, that's like the fuel that's going to get you to the end. And usually it's got to be something that stirs your emotions inside, because you're going to refer to that reason why on a regular basis. And that's going to motivate you to get to the end. The second thing you need to do is, once you've decided what your goal is and the reason why you absolutely have to reach it, you need to write down your goal. Because if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it. And not only write it down, but you need to make multiple copies of it and put them in strategic places so that you can see them throughout your day and every day. So one thing that I did especially back then, was I made multiple copies. I put one in my car. I put one by the side of my bed. I put one on my fridge. I put one in a book I was reading. And, I saw it all the time, and so that reminded me of my goal. And then third, you need to make continual, conscious progress towards your goal. And the best way that I found out how to do that is by doing power walks. And we've talked about power walk before, but if you haven't been on the call before, basically a power walk is just a walk. You just go for a walk and you think about what you're grateful for in life. Usually I call that a prayer of gratitude. I say a prayer thanking God for everything that I've been given, and I just kind of go over what I'm grateful for in life. And then the second part of a power walk is I think about my goal, and I come up with two mini goals that I can do, something small that I can do to make a little bit of progress towards my major goal. And by doing that on a regular basis, you actually reach your goal. And it happens faster than you think. That's like those butterfly effects that I was talking about earlier. Do you guys have any comments or thoughts?
The other thing, along with writing it down, that's important that we do, Scott, that you probably just forgot to put in there is signing it.
Oh yeah.
So sign,
Yeah.
when you write it down, when you're writing down your goals, sign them and tell other people about those goals. And that's going to help you stay accountable to what you've written down and the goals that you have. Because if you just sit down and say, I have a goal and I want to start a business on selling dog toys, okay? And it's just in the back of your mind, it's never going to come to fruition because you haven't manifested it through, you've manifested it through your thoughts, but you need to write it down and take some physical action. Write it down, sign it, and tell others about it.
Right.
You know, gentlemen, I have a feeling that there are some people who are really fearful of doing that. And I can tell you that I was one of those people a few years ago. I had done something on Alex Mendosian's blog site. I had written down 10, I think it was, goals that I wanted to accomplish for the year 2010. And it was so unnerving for me because I knew that if I had written them down on a blog site like Alex Mendosian's, that other people were going to be seeing it. It took me so long to hit the enter button. I cannot tell you how nervous I was about it. But the interesting thing is, I did not go back and look at it. And even though I was on his blog several times during that year, I refused to go back and look at it. And I found that very interesting. It said a lot about where my mind was at that time.
Right.
And so I think it was August or September, I actually went back to his blog and I found the post and I noticed that I had already accomplished 8 of those goals. And I couldn't
Wow.
believe it. I could not
Interesting.
believe it. And they were significant, like write books and do speaking engagements. They were significant. So you'd be amazed at, the power behind doing that. Even if you do feel fearful about it, do it anyways.
Yeah, I love
Yep.
that. That's a great example.
Yep, I agree. Thanks, guys. So this is kind of the goal template, and I'm glad you mentioned the sign and date thing because that's on here. So this is the template that I used back when I decided to change my life, and I think it's a really good template. So the way I start out my goal page is I usually put this sentence at the top because it helps me to remember the importance of goals. It says, my goals allow me to create my future in advance, to define my destiny and shape my life. So that puts me in control of my future when I read that. That's how I think and feel. I can create my future. I'm not a pawn in life. I'm actually controlling my life. And then I write this next sentence. The following goal is very important to me. I will strive to review this goal daily in order to stay on track and produce the results that I'm working for. That just reminds me how important the goal is. And then I usually say something like this. My ultimate goal is to, and then I put the goal in. And then I put a date so it doesn't have to be 1 year, but that's one thing I learned from Tony Robbins is he usually puts 1 year on his goal dates. So I put 1 year from the day below, and those can change. I mean, you can write a goal down, and 2 months from now you might realize that that's not the actual goal that you wanted, or it's something different. And so you can change the goal, but as long as you write it down, at least you have something to go on. And then I absolutely must accomplish this goal. This is my why, right? I must accomplish this goal because, and then I write down why this goal is so important to me and why I have to accomplish it. And then, like Garrett said, you sign and date it. Because subconsciously in our mind, when we sign something, that's like a contract. And so our mind starts thinking of how it's going to, uh, make that happen. So we don't, we want to make sure that our integrity stays intact. And so by signing it, this basically becomes a personal contract with yourself. You don't want to break that. So here's ways that you can stack the deck in your favor. And I've already talked about going on power walks, which is on the bottom here. And then Garrett mentioned, and so did you, Kelly, tell people about it. That's a big one because that puts you on the line. Once you've told people about it, it's public. And so, you're much more likely to make it happen. This is another good one. Take an action immediately after creating your goal. Do something physical to take one step towards reaching the goal, because that just gets you going. It just gets you out of the door and doing something that will move you towards the goal. It's very motivational. This is my favorite thing on here, and that's to not excuse yourself. Have no excuses. Hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. And if you can do that, if you can hold yourself to a higher standard, then it almost becomes internal. There's a lot of times when I'm at the gym and I'm pushing hard and I'm tired. I don't want to push anymore. I just want to get off the machine. But that quote comes into my mind, and it motivates me because I know I'm against myself, right? I'm the one that decides what standard I live, and so I remember that phrase, and it just makes me push harder. And so I don't know, I really like it. So those are basically the secrets that I've learned to reaching goals and to being successful with goals. If you guys want, I've actually written all about how I do goals and everything in my weight loss program. So I put the screenshot up here. I have a whole course about goal setting in this program that I created after I lost the weight. My website is number1weightlossecret.com. This is completely free. You can sign up and get the entire course. I put a starter course on here, but it's actually the full course. So you just put your name and email, and you can get the full course in here. It's an amazing program, and it's not like any other course that you've probably ever seen. So anyway, that's something free that you can get, that you can learn all about goals and really get a lot better idea of what I've been trying to explain here in 10 minutes. So.
That's awesome, Scott. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great job. And I've been there throughout this transformation, and Scott's seen me transform too, and we've seen our business transform because of goals.